Welcome back to the Learn with Dylan podcast. Today I have a very special guest, Andrew Eggelton. I'll let you introduce yourself, Andrew, because I was doing a bit of research on your website and I was like, wow, this guy has done a lot. So feel free to introduce yourself for those who don't know you.
Okay, Dylan, I feel like this is a cop out. You, look, I'm New Zealand born. I live in Australia. Um, my work takes me all over the world, and I started out in acting in late '90s, and that was always a lot of fun. I don't feel like it was what I was the best at. My interest was more in communications and TV presenting. TV presenting took me into public speaking. And just to be clear, like acting and TV presenting were my full time job. Like I was working. It wasn't just a dream. I was on soap operas and series and busy, very,
Mm.
very busy. I took a break in 2011 because I was tired of delivering someone else's dialogue or what was written for me. And I felt like there was something inside of me that I wanted to share. I wasn't sure what that was. And I took some time out in Bali to explore that and drill down into it. And then I started a speaking business that grew very fast.
I
And
heard
here
that
I am.
I heard that Bali was one of your happiest times. Was that correct?
Yeah, Bali was 2011 was probably the happiest year of my life. It was a year where I detached. I was very intentional about detaching from my labels and my job, and I had uh, a very basic villa with cold water and a beanbag and a TV, and that was it. And I was very happy. People would ask, "Oh, yeah, what do you do?" And I would say nothing, and it felt really good. I didn't have to be anywhere. I had nowhere to go. I had no one to be. Um, it was a nice. It was a really good process.
And you've been alongside Ryan Gosling as well.
I have, yeah, I
Yeah,
worked in Young Hercules, and I was Ryan Gosling's sidekick. He was Young Hercules.
yeah.
Um, worked in Hercules. Worked in a soap or a drama, primetime drama in New Zealand called Shortland Street. I had a good stint on that. For you in Australia, I guess this is your neighbours or home and away. And I played a detective, um, which is actually quite fitting. And because I love interrogation and tools and FBI training, I'm a sucker for the tools that they learn. Um, yeah,
I'm very interested in human behavior and interrogation as well.
really, it's
I I suppose you're a fan of Black Swan. What's his name? He's the most famous negotiator.
yeah. I know he's a famous FBI hostage negotiator.
Yeah, I can't.
And
I brought it
I,
up on a podcast before, and I can't remember it.
his name is going to come to me while
That's
we're speaking. It is gonna pop up to me. Yeah.
it's okay. Well, today I wanted to bring you on. I did actually. I caught you from a reel. I was just doom scrolling as normal, and one thing that really stood out about what you talk about is talking from your heart. So today's podcast is going to be around learning how to know when you're speaking your truth from your heart and not always from your head. And at the end of it, Andrew is going to run me through a little dialogue, a little script that he's given to me. And he's going to help me with the tools that we're going to go through, improve my overall communication skills.
Yeah, I'm gonna elevate your delivery
Okay,
in
perfect.
real time, so people will be able to hear it, and if they're watching, they'll be able to see it. But they'll be able to hear it, hear the difference.
Perfect. Well, I have the questions in front of me. So I'll just start from the first one. So to you, when you hear "speak your truth," what does that mean to you?
Really good question. I don't like, I don't know what speaking your truth means, because if you're on stage, why wouldn't you? Unless
Mm.
you're a politician, of course. So
We won't
speaking
go
your
down that route. Yeah.
speaking your truth for people is often mistaken as being authentic, and they're two different things. Authenticity is uh, not pretty much is, this is who I am. Yeah. This is who I am. Just be you. That's authenticity. And it's being able to be the same person off stage, on stage, off camera, on camera, uh, out of the boardroom, in the boardroom, same person. And that can be very challenging for some people, because they have been sold the idea that they need to be something else or something more. All right. We'll get deeper into that as we go and unpack that. When we're talking about speaking your truth, that should pretty much always be done. But I find that that's the part that people confuse is, oh, they're speaking their truth, and that's authenticity. It's not. That's just you're being honest with the audience. And if you haven't been honest with the audience, well, why not? It's like a speaker goes, I'm going to be honest with you today, or I'm going to get it. And you go, well, what's the alternative? You know what I mean? And it's harder in this day and age, because we are bombarded with so much untruth. And maybe that's where this is coming from. And you'll know from your doom scrolling is we 99% feel, I'm making that number up, but it feels like 99% of coaches are telling us they've got the magic formula, six-figure, seven-figure coaches. These are the three things you need to do today. And first thing you do up in the morning is go stand outside and get your face in the sun, and then come in and do meditation, and then go, fuck, I haven't got that much time, man. Um, and so the mistruth, or so much untruth now, that is just in the everyday market and in our faces, right? So it made it seem more special if someone goes, I'm speaking my truth. Whereas before, I just haven't got up on stage and not spoken my truth. But I can see how now it might feel like more of a novelty. Does that make sense?
It does. And it's about unraveling until you get to your truth at times.
Yeah. So if you think of, I'm going to give you a visual, is if we're speaking about truth being then authenticity, meaning this is who you are, this is the true Dylan showing up. Michelangelo, who created the statue of David, was asked how he created David. And he replied, it was easy. I just simply chipped away everything that wasn't David.
Mm,
And when speakers speak, or when people communicate, and when you open the bloody door to somebody, we tend to project what we think the audience wants from you, or in this case, how we're perceived to open the door. Like, I'm meant to act excited, so I'll be excited to see this person, even though I just saw them a couple of days ago. Um, like when people ask you how are you, you go, yeah, I'm good, and then you have to go, yeah, but how are you? So authenticity is being able to embrace how I'm feeling today when I speak, and knowing that that's where the magic is going to come from. Magic's going to come from being aligned with me, and then choosing the words that are alive in me today, because they weren't alive in me yesterday, and they won't be alive in me tomorrow.
I did watch one of your videos on your website today, and you were talking about exactly what you just spoke about then, about we're always trying to think about what the audience wants, but
Yes.
sometimes the audience, they don't actually know what they want. And it's about you bringing that new experience into their lives.
Yeah, it's. Do you know the music producer Rick Rubin?
What was it called?
Rick Rubin, the music producer.
Uh, yes, I actually do. I've listened to a couple of his videos. He's very wise. He's very creative. I really like him.
Like he's worked with you name it of the in the rock industry, not just rock, but the Chili Peppers and God, you name it. There's too many. He's the thing is he doesn't really play an instrument well. He just knows what he likes. He just knows what he likes. And I've forgotten why we're just on the
Can I
subject.
add
Right
on
on.
to that
I
quickly?
miss because he
Can I-
said
Yeah.
the audience comes last, and he's the only person else that I've ever heard say that.
Yeah.
The audience comes last because the audience doesn't know what they want. They only know what they've seen before.
Hmm.
Mm. Sorry, Dylan, you were.
No, I've heard about that.
Mm,
I knew you were going there. He said that you need to create for you because that is the highest form of service is to
yes.
create for yourself, and then others will enjoy it.
Yeah, and
So,
so if you think of music at the moment,
hmm,
and if you think music is becoming a little bit bland, like this has been my complaint for the last year, and I've actually been researching why is this happening, and it's because music's becoming homogenized, meaning it's becoming cheaper to make, so they don't have to use they sampling from other old tracks or bands or using just a drum machine or the kick, and you're not getting people in the studio now making original sounds. It's a mishmash. But you're also now getting musicians making music that the algorithms are asking them to create. Instead of what's the highest level of creativity in you that you can achieve right now? What do you want to put out into this world for people to love or hate
hmm,
or not have any, or but that's the beauty of being an artist. And right now we're in this algorithms are dictating what you put out. And so we're getting a smaller and smaller range of what music is.
hmm,
And I just thought it was my age like a year ago. I was like, oh man, I don't know why I'm not getting turned on by music anymore. Like I'm really struggling to find music that I love. And yeah, going down the rabbit hole is like, okay, this makes sense. Algorithms are starting to control. Hmm.
that's why it's good to be yourself. It's good to be true to you. So coming back around to speaking your truth, from your experience from working with thousands of people
Yep.
and yourself, what how do you know when someone is like speaking their truth or speaking from their hearts and not performing? Like, what are some telltale signs?
This easy. There's a it's what you energy is information, right? We speak about body language and tone of the voice and the words you use, but we don't often speak in energy because it's not so measurable. But energy is information. I can always hear when I teach people. I can always feel. I never when I'm training people in person. I never look at them. I just have my head down and I listen and I feel, because what they're doing physically means nothing to me. It's I can feel where they're pushing, and where they're pushing, they're trying to cover something up. There's an insecurity, or I feel like I need to show you that I'm confident. I need to show you that I'm smart. I need to show you that I'm likable. And so I'm like, well, okay, there's something there. Why do they feel like they need to be liked by the audience? Because now they're becoming their perception of what they think the audience wants of them, which is why most TEDx speakers look the same, sound the same. They might have different talks, but it's a homogenized version of this is what a TEDx speaker looks like. So the ripple is you can the performing is I don't I either don't accept how I'm feeling today because I feel like I should be more on or better or more. So I'm going to be this version that is more on stage. And therefore, the audience don't know why, but they're not connecting to you.
Mm.
So the more can be more likable, more inspiring. So I'm going to go out and this is what I believe inspiring looks like, sounds like. But then I'll ask you, Dylan, do you feel like you're inspiring? And you'll go, well, yeah, I do. And then why you don't fucking have to do anything, do you? This
No.
has been just the only person who has to try be inspiring is someone who's completely uninspiring. The only person that has to try be likable is someone who's not likable.
Mm.
The only person who has to try and um, be smart is someone who doesn't back themselves as being smart. But if you're speaking in your field or your zone of genius, you're going to be smarter than 99% of people in the room. So that's how I can tell you're you'll never speak from the heart brain consciousness when you're performing. Okay, that heart brain consciousness is something that only happens when you're authentic. You will never connect with your audience at a really deep, more spiritual level in a room when you're performing. It requires authenticity for you to be open and grounded and connected to yourself. You start attracting the wrong people because you're getting people attracted to that false version of you. So these are the things how you can start recognizing it. It's amazing when I'm working in a room full of people, I can see the audience when I strip those layers off somebody, just like chipping away the statue of David, and when it becomes conversational reality and effortless, and I can see who they really are, the audience just light up.
Mm.
Instead of watching someone speak at them, all of a sudden there's a real human being that is speaking to you. It feels like one to one. Does that answer your question?
It does. Can I share something with you?
Yeah, go for it.
So I'm studying counseling, and I had a tutorial with my lecturer yesterday, and it's the first time I've seen him. And one thing that I admired about him is he was quite vulnerable in saying that he has he's like 30 years in the counseling space. He's a teacher. He's got uh, like a lot of credibility under his belt.
Yeah,
And he said that he had to stop. He was actually an actor, and he had to stop performance because he was scared of stage fright, like to the point where he could not perform. And he is a master in counseling. And I felt like him sharing that and saying, I can't actually go up on a stage now. I felt like that was quite vulnerable. And I felt like we connected with him better.
mm, yeah. You're the imperfections, right?
Yeah.
Our imperfections are the window of which we let our audience in.
Yeah. That's
We
it.
connect to the imperfections, and when you're performing, as the imperfections disappear. The other thing I'll just add: when you're performing, your range of expression is limited because in you react and act in infinite different ways. But when you're performing, there's a very small range of what you're doing. Does it make sense? It's this isn't to scale with my hands. I got my hands together. Yeah, you get a range when you're performing of like in here. But in everyday life, you've got this range out here. But performing brings it into here. It's like that's why you'll notice a bad actor is because they have a very small range of what it is they're doing instead of the infinite amount of ways you can react and act in any given moment. Um, you'll even find when someone's performing on stage that you can't sit and breathe it because they're not in the moment and actually taking that full breath when they need to, like you would if I was speaking to you right now or speaking at work or wherever, whatever I'm doing, I'm breathing all the time. I'm going through the full range of human things. You forget that on stage when you're performing.
Mm. I'm sure you would have come across a few people with stage fright.
Yes, quite God, yeah. I used to
Yeah.
have that. It's normal, right?
Yeah. So jumping into the next section, I felt like we've covered about speaking your truth and being authentic. What are some practical strategies that you have given to clients to help them speak in a more clear manner and to articulate what's going on in their heads out into the real world?
Tactically, I something that I work on, and not. I normally start off with developing a level of authenticity in the people that I work with that's unmatched. I grow with them, so their external world and how they express themselves is matches their internal world. Funny enough, and I don't know if you saw this in my social media, but I sometimes use horses. I partner up with.
Horses? Yeah, I saw
I
that.
mm,
Yeah. What's that about?
well, horses reflect back to you exactly how you be, without
Okay.
fail. Yeah, they will show you. They'll give you clues that your inside world and your outside world don't match, and that you may be a predator because they can't trust you. So they reflect back to you. And why I use horses is one, it's a beautiful, very powerful experience because you're in a paddock or an arena with these big animals, and there's something very powerful about that. But when you figure out how to connect with them, it's all unspoken, it's all intention, um, and that's the it's a very powerful learning for you to take away and then transport or transfer it into the environment of speaking, coaching, training, podcasts, because you know exactly who you are. That's what they teach you. I just like it. One is I don't have to do any work because the horses do it all for me,
Yeah.
and two is the horses have no need to be liked. They don't care, and I can push sometimes depending on the person. I can push. I can go around the outside. I can be a little bit stealth with how I give my feedback and how I give someone from A to B. But the horses, and so it's a bit more of a crash course. The horses, you're just not allowed in the herd if you are considered a threat. Yeah, and they'll test you. The horses test you. Yeah,
Do you have horses?
I don't. I actually go down to. I live on the Gold Coast, but I
Yeah,
go
yeah.
down to top New South Wales, and there's a few places that I go hang out with horses there. But
Yeah.
I do the training like Austin, Texas, UK, Melbourne, and I've done it on Gold Coast. But I'll do it again shortly. I'll probably do it in UK and Melbourne again this year. Mm.
So you actually have people there and horses. Is that right?
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. So day one is it's the horses, and I've framed things up. We may work on things via Zoom. Whoever's going to come along and participate, I'll frame it up for them, and then we go out to what's equine assisted training. So they're not your horses that you ride and race. These are horses often that have been mishandled or mistreated. They've been saved, and their personalities are intact. Some of the horses have a bit of trauma, but they're not used to riding. They're there very much for connection and grounding. So the horse's heart brain consciousness is about three times as big as ours. So they know who you really are as soon as you step into about 3 meter radius.
Okay.
Whereas as us, we tend to, and then it's quite amazing because they actually regulate you when they do build that connection with you. It's the horse people know what I'm talking about here. They can
Yeah.
put you in a trance and they'll regulate you, like slow your heartbeat.
Wow,
Some
that's
people
great.
might. Are you a cat person at all?
I do like cats. Yeah.
So cats can do that when they're sitting on your chest. After a while, it's like you're calm and things, and that's the cat doing the same thing. Now times that by 50 with a horse. Okay, so they're really powerful. Then the second day is we go into a room and we work together, taking those learnings. But now I'm teaching you more tangible, tangible things, which leads me on to the tangible things you just asked. So I create something that's called a blueprint, and the blueprint is designing the identity of your voice. How
Love it.
do I want to sound? How do I want to be heard? How do I want to be able to deliver my sentences and my words in a way that stays with my audience? See, we tend to have modeled our voice off a same sex parent or a mentor or a teacher, but normally the same sex parent. And we've still got that same voice 10 years later, 20 years later, 30 years later. And we expect people to see us differently, treat us differently, but yet we sound exactly the same. So if you keep sounding the same, you're going to keep getting the same people showing up and viewing you that same way. So you get to design your voice. How do you want to sound? What's your pacing like? How do you use pauses? How do you want some words to feel? Um, what do you want to do in the space between the words? How do you build that contrast? Because that's what the blueprint is. How do I build contrast into my voice? Because if there's no contrast, there's nothing to hear. It
What would you say
becomes,
your speaking identity is, or how would you like to describe it?
I would say, assertive.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah, assertive. I would say my voice is very, as I like to think it's supported by my body. It's not in my head. Like my body supports my voice now, not my head like when I was a Kiwi. And I like to control my pacing and I like to control time, meaning he or she who controls time is in control. Not that I'm trying to control you, Dylan, but I'm controlling the pace of how I'm speaking so I can think clearly and say the next right thing for me, for the benefit of you and for the benefit of your listener. Mm.
Are there any speakers or celebrities that inspire you or that you think are great speakers? Like, who are your favorites?
Look, I'm a real fan of Joe Dispenza for multiple reasons. I think one, his content and what he speaks about is very fascinating. Two, he has beautiful cadence, and I've seen his voice grow over the last 10, 15 years, and it keeps growing. So he's got a beautiful cadence. He speaks with a lot of clarity. Uh, he uses a lot of hypnotic language that just keeps you there. Um, yeah, I love him. And then there's so many speakers who have no voice training, and yeah, that feels like they're sharing more information. But Joe's a great idea. The thing I love about Joe the most is he has a language that is his own. So his language has become his leverage. And that language, I feel, has been born of the heart-brain consciousness, which is pretty much what he talks about as well. So it would make
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
Did you learn about the heart brain consciousness from him?
No, I didn't.
For those who
I
don't
just,
know much about it, can you explain it more?
yeah, sure. I just found when I was speaking that there were times when I felt like there was something inside that I could articulate better than I had before. So I would give myself time and I would actually ask the audience, just give me a minute here. I'm going to articulate this in a different way. And I got to be out of my way. I've got to be out of my head in this
Mm.
because there's words that are alive in there and it's more feeling based. It's more feeling based. I'm searching for the word that matches the words that match the feeling that's going on there today to articulate this topic. Some might call it, if you're being dramatic, it's when God works through you. If you're being less dramatic, it's some tapping into the energetic field of information, or when you become a conduit for infinite wisdom. It's what some might say it's flow.
Mm.
Right? When you're a master painter, it's you're in the zone, in flow, or something else is working through me. And I'd articulate a sentence or a topic just in a completely different way. And it would be in a way that I've never heard anyone else say it before. As an example, before I said your imperfections are the window of which you let your audience in. That comes from my heart brain or something working through me. I remember saying it. Now, when I happens, those words or that sentence in that moment has more weight to it. It's got a different frequency to it. It's come from somewhere different. And I can guarantee you that the audience, it lands. So if I get to the end of a talk and I say, hey, what was your takeaway today? What was the one thing that stood out for you? Nearly everybody will say that sentence. It just lands differently. It's like, I don't know, being dramatic here, but it's like your DNA is on that sentence.
Yeah.
Now, the more that you speak from that heart-brain consciousness, which you can't have while you're performing because you're not connected to yourself. So connected to yourself and having the confidence to stop and say, I'm going to take a moment to articulate that better. I can feel it inside me. Over time, those sentences start to fill up your vocabulary, right? You become, I've got 50 sentences like that. I got 60, I got 100, I got 200. Over a decades, you end up like Joe Dispenza, where everything he says seems to be only Joe Dispenza's language. So that's where you get down to. It's actually step 5 and where I teach people is your language becomes your leverage. You're probably not going to hear another speaker, coach, or mentor speak like me because I've been doing this for decades that now the way I speak has become so distinctly me. Right? And I am quite, when I have those moments, I take those sentences and ideas and I put them one into a spreadsheet so I don't forget them. And then my job is to unpack that further. So I drill down into that sentence again and again and again until I have almost a whole new talk on that one sentence. Does that make sense? So that it's gone from up this level down and down and down, and then I'm down here. Like, oh wow, this is a whole new keynote. Oh,
Yeah.
there's a piece here, drill down into there. Mhm.
I've got two things to share with you there. One is I'm a big fan of Eckhart Tolle, and he speaks in a very, very slow manner.
Yes, he does.
If you've seen his videos, he'll say a sentence and then he'll pause for like 10 seconds and then he'll say it again. And you know that he is really thinking about what he's going to say.
Yeah, Tolle takes his time, speaks very slowly. Yeah, he does. Absolutely. Yeah. And that is exactly what someone like that is probably doing. Mm.
Yeah. Channeling it, as you mentioned.
It's channeling, and you can't channel unless you're connected to yourself, and you can't be connected to yourself if you're performing.
Mm.
That's very difficult because you're in your head, and you can't be. That head is the technical. Head is technical. What am I speaking about? What are my points? What do I want them to take away? What do I need to say? And the the rest is the feeling.
Mm.
Feeling. How am I connecting? Am I being authentic? So it's the technical versus the feeling. And you want to have the marriage of both. You want them both working in tandem. Because otherwise you get someone who's that wishy-washy on stage and they're like, I'm just gonna it's winging it. It's winging it and never wing it. Nothing good comes of winging it. Trust me.
Oh, really? Okay.
People go,
But
I'm just gonna wing it. Yeah, no, you're just gonna make a fool of yourself. basically you're telling me you're unprepared and that I should never hire you on stage again.
Yeah. Well, the second point I wanted to bring up is how you were talking about chipping away. Uh, Comedians do this. So that's why they're, and I know you would know this, that's why they're so good at their jokes, because they've said their jokes to thousands of people and thousands of times, and they've refined it time after time after time. So then you laugh at it. It's funny.
Yes. Yeah. They have. This is what people don't see is the amount of preparation the comedians put in, and that preparation is, the Kevin Hart's and Joe Rogan's as an example, are doing 3 a.m. smoky bars in New York or Los Angeles to just purely practice their material. So you prepare and you prepare and you prepare and you tweak it, and then but when you go on stage, you let it go, and you let it go, and you know that because mastery is you. People, you're not thinking about it when you become a master of what it is you do. You're not thinking about it anymore because it is you. This is just the way I am
Mm.
now. Everything I
Yep.
do, the way I move, the way I breathe is craft. So now that they've got that, they can work with what they've got in the moment, with their audience, the energy of the night. Um, but that has to be bone deep preparation, and that's when my career took off. Is when I learned about bone deep preparation. If I prepared more than those other actors, I would get the job. Yeah.
Talking,
It's the same as speaking. When I learn to prepare and prepare and prepare, then when I walk out on stage, I can let go.
mm,
And I might not say half the things that I prepared, but my brain feels safe and confident because if I have to, I can fall back on it.
mm. One of the questions I was going to ask you actually is, in your career, what have you personally struggled with? And is there anything that you struggle with today?
I get I struggle with, and I'm sure many creatives is I get bored easily,
Okay.
which is not always a good thing.
Yeah.
So I tend to hire people who can finish what I start, and I'm not a detail person. I'm big picture, so details,
Okay.
and I also want to take care of things with me as well. Um, I've had to adapt that when I'm dealing with very logical thinking people, I need processes and systems, and here's the next step, here's the next step. So I've had to develop that, but it's not how I organically work. But I also understand to be a great teacher for all is those are required things. Frameworks is a nice way of putting
Mm,
it.
frameworks.
I still get nervous. I still
You
get
still get
nervous.
nervous? Yeah.
Still get nervous on stage. So for anyone listening, is that doesn't go away.
Yeah.
But that's the buzz of it as well. That's the fun. Um, I still get people. I still get people in a room that you can tell they don't like you, but that
Mm,
doesn't get mob. That's like just don't focus on them. Sometimes I make mistakes. I still make mistakes, and I kick myself for it because then because and I know when I make mistakes, it's often because I haven't prepared enough. I've taken my skill for granted.
that's a good
And
way
I
to look at
saw
it.
a mistake, and I'll go, that only happened because I took the weekend off and was like, "Yeah, this is easy. I've done this so many times." And I've convinced myself that it was okay, and then something's happened, and I didn't have my plan intact, or my skill, or my ability to persuade or influence wasn't enough. I needed a plan.
Plan of attack.
A
Need a
plan of attack.
plan of
Yeah, and do you know
yeah,
what's
plan.
here's something really. This I think this is the answer that you're more looking for. Is I run events and retreats all over the world: New York, Los Angeles, Portugal, Austria, Bali, Texas, um, New Zealand, Australia, just UK a lot. When I run an event, I always am scared no one's going to turn up.
Really?
Still, and do you know what's crazy with that idea is that I've got no proof that that's ever going to happen. I got no proof that no one ever turns up because someone always turns up. In fact, enough, more than enough people turn up. But
Mm.
somehow that I still think, what if no one turns up this time? How will I look? And I think there's more pressure now that I'm more embedded in the market than it was before, because before it was like, man, who cares? No one even knows me.
Yeah. Yeah. Since you
So I
have
still
built
get that.
yourself. Yeah.
What's that? Sorry.
Since you have like a big name and you've done a lot, it's different now compared to back when you first started when no one knew
Yeah, yeah,
you.
it is. Do you know why because when I started my speaking career, and I said, okay, I'm going to start doing this. And this is like 2017, 16. And I'd left TV. So I was in this, it was quite humbling because I went from people knowing me in New Zealand and having a regular income and job that I love to being in a position where I don't know what I'm doing so much. And this is very humbling. I'm starting from scratch again. But I knew the journey, and if I kept improving, that it would be fine. But I was living in New Zealand, and I decided I was going to do a tour of Australia. And I chose all the major cities. And cut a long story short, no one turned up to any of them except for Melbourne was full. So no, Brisbane empty, Sydney empty, Perth empty, Adelaide empty. And I, in my positive, um, optimist mind, went, Melbourne was a success. And I took that. And so I moved to Melbourne. I was like, Melbourne, okay, I can do this. Moved to Melbourne. And then I unpacked why Melbourne worked and the other cities didn't work. And then I then applied the same principles and processes that I did to Melbourne. And I toured again in May, and all the venues were full.
Why
So
why did it work in Melbourne?
it worked because I built relationships
Mm.
and I spent more time speaking to people. And it wasn't just someone selling a ticket. It was like me. Where do you live? Is it Melbourne?
I live near Newcastle.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it'd be like me coming through Sydney, but instead of you seeing it just on social media, if you were in my sphere, I would actually message you. And I've probably been messaging you for a couple of months, knowing I'm coming to New South Wales, building a relationship with you. That when by the time it comes to, hey, Dylan, what are you doing on Saturday the 20th? You're like, oh, I don't have any planned. It's like, man, come and hang out. I'm running an event. I'd love to see you. And what I ended up in Melbourne was a whole lot of friends that I'd never
Yeah.
met.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so it was like, holy shit, this is actually really cool. And then I replicated that for London. Same thing. I just messaged people. I knew that they were speakers or in that sphere. I built relationships with them. And then I'd say, hey, I'm coming to London. I'd love to catch up. And they're like, well, how can we catch up? And I'm like, well, I'm running an event. Would you come to that? And that became, oh, yeah, this is a no brainer, of course. And then we'll have dinner afterwards. It's like, yeah, let's all have dinner afterwards.
That's great. Yeah, that's a great idea.
It-
Yeah.
so it was building relationships and building that trust.
Mm.
Um, and for me, that was better than the 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 cold social media. You know, that
Mm.
people were already warmed up. They knew that I was good at what I did, and they knew that they could trust me instead of like, am I going to spend $100 on this 4 hour event? And is it going to be a waste of my time? Yeah. Mm.
All right. That makes sense. Well, one of the last questions that I wanted to ask you, and then you could run me through this little sentence that you wanted to help me with,
Sure.
is what is one moment in your life or in your speaking career where you had an insight that changed everything?
Well, yeah, okay, well, my mind just jumped to one thing, so I'm going to share that. As this would have been 2008 or nine, probably nine, and my partner at the time wanted to go see do a 3-day event with a guy called Chris Howard, and Chris Howard at the time was a little bit like your Tony Robbins.
Okay.
He was going to NLP the shit out of you and in
Yeah.
hypnosis, but there's
Yeah, yeah.
there's 3,000 people in the room, and I wasn't into. I was kind of a blessing, really. I wasn't into personal development or that kind of gig. I missed my days of acting and TV because I had no social media. I just had an agent that told me where to turn up. I didn't know what a meme was. I didn't know all this shit. It was just everything was so much more uncomplicated than now. Um, but my agent used to call me the bridesmaid, meaning I got a lot of work, but when it got down to really serious jobs, so this must be 2008, really serious jobs, and I got down to the last two or three, I got second, so I was the bridesmaid. And so I went along to this event with Chris, and he, I felt hypnotized. We did this exercise, and I felt like I was a little bit zoned out. And he took us through an NLP timeline, so a timeline to where he dropped us into a moment of life where I had created a belief that I needed to please both my mum and my dad. And it was a running race. We lived in a country school, and I was just very fast. I was fast. I was faster than the other kids. It was a tiny school. It was only like 25 people. It was a country school in the middle of New Zealand. And my dad had said something to me that had made me ashamed because I think dad felt a little bit embarrassed that I used to win everything. And the other school kids, in some ways, it made dad uncomfortable. So he might have said something along of you just being silly or stupid. So I had dad who wanted me not to win, and to please dad, I started getting second. But on my other hand, I had my mum who was a winner and very determined, and second sucks. So I had this, well, sometimes I'll win or sometimes I'll get second. But that was a belief that I'd flipped. And what the going through the NLP timeline was, it changed that belief. I went back in. Anyone who's done NLP, you know what I'm talking about. And we changed that belief to dad saying something completely different. I walked out of that the very next day. I remember being being completely different in my mindset. Just there was a different sense of wanting to win, a very, very different sense. And all the auditions I was going for, it was not about any more of just tuning up and like, you've done well to get here. It was first makes the money, first gets on TV, second, no one knows who you are. And I just learned to prepare and practice. I was like, what does it take to win? And so all my preparation and practice and what it took changed. And it was like I matured overnight.
Yeah.
Someone who second and third was great. You've done well to get there from a little boy from a country town to second doesn't pay the bills.
Mm. That's interesting.
First makes you famous. First gets you on
Yeah.
TV.
Yeah.
First means I can that kind of person. First means I got money in the bank.
Yeah.
So that was
Interesting.
the poignant moment. That
Yeah.
was it. And also working with Ryan Gosling and seeing he taught me what world class looks like, and I knew that I was lower. Mm.
Yeah. You gotta listen to him, and you have. That's good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll run over that little spiel that you've given me. How would you like to do it?
Okay, so you read out what I've given Dylan as two sentences of a speech, and we don't need to go over a whole speech because I'm gonna give you tools from something that I call a voice stack. So if you came to me, Dylan, and we're working together, one of the things that we would do is build you an identity of what your voice you want it to sound like. What's the effects you want to have on people? And so the voice stack is where I pull those tools from. The blueprint is how you want to sound. That's the identity. And the voice stack is the stack of tools. So I've handpicked two or three, maybe four tools from this that I'm going to share with you. Okay.
Perfect.
Are you happy to read those sentences that I gave you, just so the audience can hear it to begin with?
So it starts with there comes a moment. Is that right?
That's it.
Yeah. There comes a moment in life where comfort whispers, stay where you are, but somewhere deeper, a quieter voice rises, the one that says you were not built to be safe. You were built for the fire, for the kind that doesn't destroy but refines, the kind that forges you into someone that the world can no longer ignore.
Right. Just I'll read that quickly for everyone as well. That's it. There comes a moment in every life when comfort whispers, "Stay where you are." But somewhere deeper, a quieter voice rises, the one that says, "You weren't built for safe. You were built for the fire, for the kind that doesn't destroy but refines, for the kind that forges you into someone the world can no longer ignore." So that's the sentences, right? That first line, there comes a moment in every life when comfort whispers, "Stay where you are." I want you to put a pause after whispers.
Okay.
And the intention of that pause is purely to leave me hanging for a second. It's clear you haven't finished the sentence. You're breaking the pattern of how my brain is used to hearing you. And in other words, and the language I'd use in person is, "I'm fucking with you."
Yeah, I understand. I work
All
in
right.
sales, so I understand how powerful the pause is.
Yep. So
So
leave that. Yep.
there, there comes a moment in every life where comfort whispers, stay where you are.
Nice. Now leave me hanging, make an intonation at the end of whispers that it's really clear you haven't finished. There comes a moment in every life when comfort whispers, "Stay where you are."
There comes a moment in every life where comfort whispers, stay where you are. I'm
Yeah,
not
even
sure I've
longer.
even
Yeah,
longer.
yeah,
So
yeah,
is it
yeah.
prolonging?
So your intention here, that pauses need to be full of intention, right? So when it's a pause, the space between the words is as potent as the words themselves. There's a lot happening in the pause. There's a lot of connection happening. There's a lot of suspense happening. There's you finding and grounding yourself in that time. But then if you use your imagination, it's pulling the audience forward off their chairs because they're going. It's clear he hasn't finished a sentence. What's at the end? So when comfort whispers,
Whispers.
and that
Whi-
you
Yeah.
hang on to that as long as you decide you see fit, and then you resolve that sentence by saying, "Stay where you are."
Can you exaggerate the whispers part?
Yeah, that's actually another tool, but you're
Oh,
beating me
okay.
to it. But that would be a
Yeah.
feeling word. So feeling words are words like home. I want home to sound like how home should feel. So it's a feeling word. You can say, "Hey, let's go home," and that's transactional speaking. Or I can say, "Hey, let's go home."
Oh,
And home
yeah.
sounds warm, friendly, fire, glass of wine, safe, family, sexy, all those things. You're like, that's a visceral feeling for your audience,
Mm.
and podcasting and radio and everyday language. I go into corporates and I train them in communications, right, as well. That's how I keep people engaged all day. and that's like normally like a 6 hours. Is how do you keep people? How do I separate myself from other people that have had to go in there and keep these people engaged who are probably there against their will?
Yeah.
It's different between you paying me to work with me or being my mastermind or someone who's been forced to go to a communications um, seminar with their
Yeah.
team. You know, God. Then them coming up afterwards and going, there's just something about this is the best training because it's a visceral feeling. I want
Mm.
you to feel this when it lands. And the people they remember how you made them feel more than what you said. And it's really helpful if they can do both.
Yeah. I love that.
So that feeling whispers makes sense. It's a whisper.
Whispers.
Deeper, long nights, short nights, long nights. Does it make sense? Um, love, yeah, warm, cold, warm. They're completely different. But in transactional speaking, it's just warm and hot, warm and cold, warm, cold,
Mm.
top,
Sounds like
bottom.
caveman speak.
It is. Yeah. 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 Okay. So you're now going to turn whispers into a feeling word and you're going to put the pause after it. And then, man, you do whatever you need to do in that space.
There comes a moment in every life where comfort whispers, stay where you are.
Nice. Do that again. That was better. Just try it again.
There comes a moment in every life where comfort whispers, stay where you are.
Nice. Now, but somewhere deeper, a quieter voice rises, the one that says, you were not built for safe. So what I'm going to do for this one here, but somewhere deeper is a feeling word. And I keep it simple because I know you're reading this and you haven't got things to scribble and highlight stuff. So I'm going to keep it really simple. A somewhere deeper feeling word. The voice rises is a feeling word. The one that says, I want you to go fast on, we're going to change pace. So that means we've had pauses, feeling words, and pace. Remember, if there's no contrast, there's nothing to hear. So we're changing this up. You were not built for safe fast. You were built for the fire. Is slow. Okay? Fast, slow. Or you can swap around. You were not built for safe. You were built for the fire. Or you were not built for safe. You were built for the fire. Doesn't matter. There's still gear shifts. One's fast, one's
Well,
slow.
yeah, I'll see what happens.
Okay, go for it.
Let's, oh, but somewhere deeper, a quieter voice. Wait. So that's the sentence I'm reading, just to clarify.
Yep. Somewhere
Yep.
deeper, a quieter voice rises.
But somewhere deeper, a quieter voice rises. The one that says you were not built for safe, you were built for the fire.
That's it. Now you were not built for safe. You were built for the fire. It has to have contrast. One of those needs to be fast and one slow. It doesn't matter. You'll make each one work. But one needs to be fast, one needs to be slow.
So
You're
like
when you
you
s-
were built, that could be fast, and then the fire is slow. Is that
yeah,
right?
you were built you were not built for safe. You were built for the fire. Or the other way around is you were not built for safe. You were built for the fire. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Contrast.
I'm like trying to think about, should I do the first one or the second one?
Doesn't matter.
But somewhere deeper, a quieter voice rises. The one that says you were built for safe. You were built for fire. I don't think I've done that right. It's actually quite tricky.
Yeah. Because it's you're so used to the cadence or the rhythm of how you
Yeah,
speak that then breaking this up. This is why it's a skill, right? It's you've got to train yourself to speak differently. You
yeah.
know, from a voice you probably had, I don't know how old you are, but at least 25 years, right?
32. I'm
32.
30.
There you go.
Yeah,
So, but somewhere deeper, a quieter voice rises, the one that says, you were not built for safe. You were built for the fire. So one of those lines, "You were not built for safe," or "You were built for the fire," is goes so slow. I need you to hear this, Dylan.
yeah.
I need you to hear that
Can you
part.
can you just do like one part and then I will copy it and then you do the second part?
Yep, let's go for it.
So
So copy.
you read out the but somewhere deeper a quiet voice like that part and
Yep,
then stop and then I'll do it and then you do the second part.
yeah, go for it. Okay, let's start. But somewhere deeper,
But somewhere deeper,
quieter voice rises,
a quieter voice rises.
one that says, "You were not built for safe.
The one that says you are not built for safe.
You were built for the fire."
You were built for the fire.
Nice. Now the difference it is better. One of the different things that's happening between yours and my voice is my body is supporting my voice.
Yeah.
I'm still breathing, so I'm speaking on many of these things on the exhale of my voice.
Oh, okay.
So when it's like a singer, right? I breathe in. You were built for the fire. It grounds. It's on the exhale. I'm saying the words as I exhale, and it grounds that sentence.
Oh, okay. Good point.
That's why I kind of move like this when I speak too, because it's a visceral feeling for me. I can it's like I'm collapsing into my body when I speak to hit those parts that I want these words to feel grounded. Okay. It is the breath is the hardest part. So this is why I haven't actually
I think just
included it
getting
in
out of
this.
your head too.
Yes, getting out of your head, which is again when I work with people, and it's like in my mastermind, Dylan, we will work on this stuff for months. And slowly each person picks out little things as we go. And then in months down the track, it's now normal for them. They can't remember how they used to speak,
Mm.
which is what you want, right? 2017, when I made a conscious decision that I wanted my voice to feel embodied. I wanted certainty, believability. I cut out all the fluff words, kind of, I guess. It's a little bit like, and they're meaningless, right? So, and then when I spoke, I wanted my it to be deeper, supportive, my body supporting my voice instead of in my head voice. And it changes everything because if you listen to FBI agents, they speak, um, they speak with a more gravelly voice, including the women. Obviously not as gravelly, but they still drop their voice. Yeah,
I love that.
that FBI agent was on the tip of my tongue right
Yeah,
then.
he's.
Only
I have him on my Instagram. I kind of think I see him all the time, and he has a pretty unique name. You could probably just Google it.
um, yeah. His name is Tactical Empathy. If you Google Tactical Empathy, Chris
Christopher
Voss.
Voss. Yeah,
Yeah.
Christopher Voss. Yeah. We both got it at the same time. He's great. All right.
Same
Well,
thing.
I do appreciate your time today. For anyone who wants to reach out to you, are you offering anything at the moment?
Yeah, look, I've always got an ongoing mastermind. Um, I like that. It's a bit of a it's at a really accessible, what I think is a no-brainer price that I work with people. Um, that's like an easy way as a step in, and then I work with people on one-on-ones, which is more your I'm taking this more seriously, or I work better one-on-one. I've got a TEDx talk coming up, keynote coming up. Um, yes, that's one-on-ones in my mastermind. How I work.
Okay, perfect. I'll put all your links in the show notes for anyone who
Okay,
wants to check you out. And,
thank you, Dylan.
you know, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you, Dylan. My
No worries.
my pleasure.